Okay. Welcome everyone to the water cooler chat for November 14th. Um, I will start it like we normally do and go around and do introductions and a topic. If you guys have it, that'd be great. I will start with myself. I am Papa Bear and I run the Solar Farm Orchestrator, which I have been running since last July. And my topic today is I guess it's not really the new Explorer anymore, but the current Explorer. Just wanted to talk about some of the features of it, and if there's anything there's a couple things that I think would be nice to add, and curious to hear other people's opinions on that. So that is my topic, and I will start at the top here and go around. Alvin, are you with us today? You talking?
Hi, good evening. I'll just be listening. It's 4 a.m. here in the morning.
Okay. Well, we're nice to see you here. Uh, all right, well, then we will move around to Titan. Are you able to speak on the beach right now?
Hello, everyone. I'm Titan. I'm sitting on a beach in Mexico. And I've been running an orchestrator for the last year and a half. And my topic today is about Livepeer Studio. And so I recently just participated in ETH Global San Francisco, where our team got third place for the Livepeer prize. And we implemented Livepeer Studio into our app, and also as well as a messaging system and
we lost you there, Titan. You heard messaging
Beaches
system.
must be great, but Wi-Fi in Mexico not so good, I guess.
Cutting in and out.
Now you're cutting in and out.
You
were just keep
okay,
your head tilted, however it was when you first started talking.
We'll just
come back. All right, we'll come back to you, Titan.
Okay.
I've got you down at Livepeer Studio,
okay, sure.
and we'll come back around and see how the Wi-Fi is then. Rebecca, or Chase Media, are you able to speak today? How are you?
Hi, Papa Bear. I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
I am good. I'm a little jealous you guys are in Mexico, but hey, it's life.
Oh, well, it is pretty exceptional, to be honest. It's amazing. We're a well-deserved break, I think, and it's very, very nice. So yeah, it's Rebecca here with the Chase Media nodes, running it since February of this year. And I don't have a specific topic. I mean, I might chime in on some of the details that Titan says about the ETH hackathon, because I was able to attend as well. It was really, really interesting to go to a big ETH global event in San Francisco. But yeah, just listening in basically. So hi, everyone.
Hey, and thanks for being here. Zoop, what's going on today?
Hey, not much. Mike Zuper here, folks. Run the Zode app orchestrator since February. No topics today. I'm kind of just been Livepeered up. So much stuff going on. I don't even really know where to turn any given day. But I'll just be listening in.
And I just want to remind anyone who wasn't aware that Zuper did a orchestrator spotlight this morning on Twitter Spaces, which is now posted on YouTube. If you want to go ahead or give that a watch if you got some time for that. It's just on the Livepeer YouTube channel. So I'll give you a little promo there since you don't have a topic. Eric,
Thank you. We love the Web3 fame.
Yes. Eric, how are you doing today?
Hey, yeah, I'm doing great. I'm Eric 3.0, the community manager here at Livepeer. I don't have any super in-depth topic today, but I do want to mention a couple of things. One is that on Thursday at noon, we're doing the quarterly Livepeer demo jam call, and this quarter's topic will be recent upgrades and upcoming features being added to the Livepeer network from the core team. So if you have time Thursday at noon EST, that will be going live on livepeer.tv. And I also want to mention to everybody that we are running a 1.5-month long hackathon within Code Club to focus on building video apps around social content, gaming, and really all these areas where we're hoping to expand Livepeer Studio into. So if you're at all interested in building something really cool and participating in a hackathon with around $30,000 in prizes, definitely feel free to send me a DM and I'll send you all the info you need.
Okay. Thank you for the heads up on all this, and I'll definitely be there for Thursday's call. Alex, how is it going today?
Going well. Yeah, so hi everyone. My name is Alex. I'm a TPM at Livepeer generally, and then I also run an orchestrator. I don't really have a topic today. I need to talk to Eric to see if some of the stuff I've been working on with Evan is actually going to be included in the demo call on Thursday. But I can loosely say that there's some more very exciting edge compute work going on that Philip has been very, very focused on for the past, I think, 3 or 4 months. So I'm going to ask Eric before I say anything more. But today I'll mostly just be listening.
Well, thanks for being here. Speedy Bird, how's it going today? Oh, we cannot hear you, Speedy Bird. Sometimes if you leave the chat and come back, that just magically fixes things. So you want to give that a try, or if you got a setting. I
Too many
I can hear you a little bit.
A little bit. All right.
All right,
Sorry
there we
about
go.
that.
There we go. There we go.
All right. Too many input devices. So yeah, I'm Speedy Bird. Been an active O here for about 2 weeks, and I don't have any topics today. Still kind of slowly but surely figuring out how to put my pants on here as an O, one leg at a time. And glad to be here and glad to be part of this community. I mean, it's you guys are all very welcoming, so I really appreciate that and excited to hear some of the. Well, I will be excited to hear when more information is available about what you guys are doing with it. What you mentioned there around edge compute and video on demand that's been talked about this week, but maybe a topic for another time.
All right. Well, if something comes up during this call, don't hesitate to ask questions about it, or if you think of something that as a newbie here that you have any questions about, just jump right in with that. Purity, I don't think I've seen you here before. How are you? Sorry, how are you doing today? And if you don't want to speak, that's fine too. You can just listen in. Okay. Let's see here. We don't have a lot of topics today, so we're going to really have to try and stretch this one out. All right, let's, I guess, as Titan says, I'm going to be greedy and start with my topic then. So, the Livepeer Explorer, when it when it was first redesigned, one of the things, and I'm talking about on the overview page, the one of the things that I thought would have been nice was to have a monthly, for the fees paid and the estimated usage, to have a monthly tab. And when I suggested that early on, the feedback was that it's too early. Having a monthly tab won't show much data. And I think that now, 9 months in, we've gotten to the point where it would definitely be helpful, at least the way that it's laid out now, because it's gotten to the point for the daily one. I mean, if you can make sense out of those tiny little lines, then I mean, I don't say I have the best eyes or even close to the best eyes, but those are some real thin lines and really tough to make a lot of sense out of. So personally, I would like to see a monthly tab for the 2 boxes that have the ability to switch between daily and monthly. And then taking that a step further, I think it would be really cool if those boxes could be popped out and made like full screen, so that we could go in and just kind of dig in a little deeper on that. And then taking that even further, it would be nice to have the ability to pick time ranges so that we could use the daily one in a way that would be usable. Like whether we want to pick a month or even just have like some sort of slider where you can just pick a certain date to a certain date. And
Papa Bear, is that LivePeer Explorer open source as well, or do they have like a feature request page?
um, I believe they do, and this is just something I was thinking about this morning when I was just taking a look at it. So
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's open source. And so yeah, I was kind of thinking I would kind of see just kind of what the group's feeling was on some of these ideas, and then if nothing else, putting in some sort of a
I
GitHub.
like the monthly idea. I think the tab blowout's also a good idea. When you were thinking, is it just going to be when you expand or open that tab, is it going to just show all the transactions or just a bigger chart that you can see in more detail?
Those are good. That's good sorry, good info because our good input because I hadn't thought about adding all the transactions into that. I'm looking really at the fees paid one right now
I see.
box, but I
Yeah, I
was
don't think the transactions are necessary. I just didn't know if like just having extra real estate was just so you could see more of the charts.
mostly to make it more more readable. If you want to dig in, it's a fairly small box. And especially if you wanted to look at daily, look at it daily, it's about as close to, I mean, you can see it, but I mean, you've got to really drag slowly to really go day by day, and it's just a little tough to make sense of.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then again, monthly, I think would also be a nice way to be able to see trends. Now that we've got 9 months into, uh, to Arbitron migration. So,
Yep.
the other thing that I really think would be, I mean, I thought this from the beginning. I would like to see the fees paid in ETH since we're paid in ETH. I don't. I think maybe it would be good to have the option to change it to USD if that's how you want to view it. But I think it makes it really hard to track the growth if it's tied if it's based in USD, which is when you have a volatile market and just crypto by nature. So to see, what the dollar amount is just really hard to really tell what the growth is. I mean, if you know, ETH was, $3,000 or $4,000 at one point, and now it's, 1,200. It just makes it the hard to see, how if the growth is going up, down.
Yeah, I like that idea. I didn't really think of it that way, but I really like that idea because the ETH can show growth, but the value in USD is going to fluctuate a lot.
Yeah. So like for me, that just makes it a little. It can be misleading, or it just. I just think it's a lot more accurate to keep it in the same. Uh,
Unit of measure.
thank you. That we're getting paid in. Um,
Yep.
so those are some of my thoughts. And then actually I had a couple more. I do miss from the old one being able to sort the orchestrators by fee cut and reward cut. Does anyone else like have any feelings or opinion on that? The the forecasted yield is
I'm not
nice.
dying without it, but I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely something that's more from an orchestrator's perspective than, a delegator. You know, uh, the forecasted yield changes so much, and I know that you can change the amount that you're delegating when you're trying to make a decision on who you're going to delegate towards. But to have it default to 150 LPT, and a lot of people don't dig in too far, and they may not realize that if they if they're going to stake more or less, that number is going to change. So I I guess I just I mean, I don't want it to get like where there's just so much stuff it's hard to really like tell what's going on, but I do miss that being able to sort by reward and fees. So but I don't know if anyone is curious. Maybe it's just me. Um,
Anyone else have feedback on Explorer stuff that Pop is talking about?
I do, but I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
We can.
I switched over to LTE network, so we'll see how that works. I like the idea of having monthly. I like the idea of pricing it in ETH because, like you just mentioned, that like if you have a big increase of ETH price, people will mistake that for increase of like transcoding, but like it's just not correlated at all. And I believe you can submit these changes to the GitHub. There's the GitHub Explorer, explore the Livepeer Explorer GitHub, where you could probably just do a request feature under the issues tab. And then Adam is probably your number one contact, I believe, for updating the Explorer. So just like CC him in that. And so any suggestions, I would recommend putting it into an official post for a
Yeah, and
feature
that
request, and then we can all comment on it.
yeah, and that was really my where I was going to go with this. I just was curious to get some feedback from you know, people in here before I throw these ideas out that I want, but maybe no one else cares about it. So I was like, I don't want it to be just based on something that I want, and I don't think that necessarily would happen. But I just want to kind of get a general feeling on if people were interested in these kinds of things.
Yeah, I don't like the idea. I love the idea.
Okay, well,
This
I'm
is
going to add that there. I'm going to when in the request, I'm going to say, and Titan loves this idea, so let's make it happen.
get a
Um,
Titan approved stamp.
Sure, right. Um, let's see. Did I have any other comments on the Explorer before we move on? Or does anyone else have any thoughts on things they'd like to see in the Explorer? Or
Well, I don't want to pile on, but I think at the same time, with what in the spirit of what you're saying, it would be nice to look at it more than just a week at a time, right? I understand there's maybe 9 months of data here or less, right? Because of Arbitrum switchover, but being able to zoom out a little bit past 7 days would be useful.
so it sounds like there's no one who thinks this is a bad idea, at least. Okay.
No, and I think some of the charts on there, like, I don't know how valuable they are, like the number of orchestrators. I mean, it's been a pretty steady state for a long time, and there are more than 100 people in line, right? And so unless there's some calamitous event, I don't expect that to change. And if that calamitous event were to happen, I don't think I would be anyone here probably would be finding out by looking at that chart in the Explorer.
Problem is you've got to have that 6 boxes to make it even. So we got to figure out what else to put. So if you're going to take something away, you have to suggest something that we'd put in there that would be more valuable. No, that's actually a good point. That if I'm looking at it now, and that number's been pretty steady straight across. And I mean, if it dips down, it jumps right back up the next day. Interestingly, we're at 99 right now for. I'm not sure what the
Yeah.
reason is, but actually, that's a good question. Does anyone how would it drop down to 99? Did someone just shut down or like what causes it to drop to 99?
You mean the active transcoders?
Yeah, like right now, like there's 99 active transcoders. I mean, that's as of today. I have a
Well,
hard time
you could still be registered but not active, right? I guess there should be someone active waiting in the wing trying to get in, right?
I mean, I wonder, is that because someone is just like,
Dropped off.
well, basically, is that because someone just came in with a higher stake than whoever was in the 100 spot and they haven't become active yet? So we're sitting at 99 until the next round starts, possibly. Although,
Yeah, but no, if they were bumping somebody out of the 100 slot, they would still be in the slot until the round ends.
Until the
And
round
then
ends,
the new
yeah.
person would take over, right?
It's already been, I think, 2 rounds since they dropped out, right? Let's see, November
Yeah,
12th.
see, I have my mouse isn't that accurate. It's hard for me to move back one day here.
Yeah. November 12th, it dipped down to 99.
Okay.
I don't know what time of day, but that would have given them today and yesterday at a minimum to get back to 100.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe no one realizes there's an open slot. I bet you that one gets taken quick.
I have a recommendation for what we should put in the 6th slot.
okay. Then this becomes a moot point
How
here. So
many
yeah, yeah.
how many broadcasters there are, active broadcasters. And I know it's going to be like 1 and 2, but like that's actually a metric I'm like most curious about. And as the network grows, that to me is the scaling up number that I'm very interested in. And it scales up infinitely, right? Because we just want to see. So that's my recommendation.
So would that be anyone who's got broadcast funds basically on the network? So I'm just thinking how that would work. But it doesn't have to necessarily be someone who's actually actively broadcasting, but just someone that has the ability to go to broadcast.
Yeah, what that would mean is you have an ETH address and you have a deposit and a reserve. Because if you look at the graph data, that's the only thing that matters. If you have an ETH address that has bonded and reserved that data or that ETH for broadcasting, then you show up. Otherwise, you don't show up.
Right. Okay. So so the only way you'd fall off that is if you pulled your deposit.
Yeah, if I pull out my money, if I pull my ETH out of that broadcaster setup, then I will drop off that chart.
Yeah, like
Now,
I couldn't.
I think some
I
of them
don't
are
really.
tracking payments sent for the month. Like if you look at N frames NL, they're tracking payment. Like if that broadcaster issued a payment, a winning ticket that month, then you show up. But I don't know if it needs to be that specific.
I like it better where it's just showing the people that have broadcast funds locked up. I don't know if it's the right term for it, but in reserve and deposit. And
Or
Titan, you were saying
or
something.
even can we have the amount of broadcaster funds locked up as a 6th box? Like that too might show an indication. Like
Yeah, you can show that.
If LivePeer Inc. is our biggest broadcaster, then like they're only going to show up as 1, and like that's not all that impressive. But seeing the broadcaster reserve increase or decrease might be more interesting than knowing we have 100 orchestrators. Like whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, because they're paying out all the time, so that number goes up and down. So I think that would be good to see.
So are we then saying that it should be the reserve and deposit amount instead of the number of broadcasters, or
Yeah, instead of showing the number 1 or the number 2, you would show like the top 5, I guess, or a list like 1, 2, 3, whatever is currently there, which would be like 3, I think, is what's there now.
Depends
3,
how
like
bullish you want to make LivePeer though.
well, right. Well, what I was thinking was since it is such a small number of broadcasters, and I guess this might be uh, I don't know if this is
splitting hairs now.
misleading. Well, is it better? I mean, does it not look good to show that there's 3 broadcasters versus like there's this much ETH locked up? I guess either way, it's not a whole lot. So
Yeah, you're not, I mean, I don't think we're looking for trends, right? If this is going up or down, staying the same. So if we're keeping an eye on that little box, it's like, oh wow, I see this. There's a new address in here, or oh wow, there's a significant amount more ETH in the broadcaster pool than there was there, last week or what I've been tracking it.
So just taking it, just so I'm just trying to think this through. So if we had that as a broadcaster box, what type of chart would that be? Would it be a list of the top like 5 or so, or up to 5, and then what their reserve and deposit amounts are? Or
That's what I would expect. I don't know if it's a chart though. I don't think you want like a pie chart or anything like that. I mean, you do a pie chart if you're just showing the numbers, right? How many broadcasters.
well, actually, a pie chart might work, except that it's so small, because then you're a bigger piece of the pie, depending on how much your your reserve and deposit are. You're the bigger piece of that pie. I guess it just depends on how you. I'm just trying to think of what would be what would be the best way to do that that would make sense for someone who's
Might be good to
trying this
chat
out.
with that team, the folks. Who was it? Adams working on it, or Chase? Who was it?
I think Chase has been doing most of the work on it recently.
Yeah, I'd ping him.
Adam
Maybe
was,
we should
yeah,
can catch up with him, see what his thoughts are.
fair enough. But I like that idea, Titan. Because and Speedy Bird, good call on that. I look over the orchestrator thing, but yeah, I mean that number is probably the least useful one there. And I wonder if now that I'm looking at delegators, if that should be. I wonder if defaulting all the way back to 9 months makes it hard to read because I mean if it starts at 0 and then has been like in the 4,000 range, like you don't, it just looks like a straight line. I just wonder how that would look if we were able to like, have it be for like, I don't know if it defaulted to the month or something like that. You can get just better feel for, uh, I guess maybe it's just kind of flat. So I don't know. We'll have to think about that one.
Yeah, the time range could make it more useful. I mean, certainly for the inflation metrics, like, hey, here, look, the chart above it, right? Here's the inflation. I mean, that's pretty steady. So, I mean, you look at the line, it may not feel that way, but you look at the scale, and it's really not that significant. Changing what, 0.5% over the time frame?
Oh, it's a slow bleed. I think we all know that number.
Yeah, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying it's not extremely valuable, right? But as you can hear from the discussion, like what is valuable that puts the best foot forward at the same time, you know?
Well, I mean, I think participation rate is actually valuable because it's
I said
something like,
inflation, not participation.
oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
inflation.
Well, I mean, and those two are tied together. It may not feel like much, but when you start to see your rewards dropping every day a certain amount, and you're like, is that going to change and go back up? I mean, yeah, sure, you can see it in your daily reward calls, but I actually do like seeing that.
Yeah, I
Or
Can
I,
we,
want to know the trend down or trend up.
can we change the interest rate or inflation rate to like the annual percentage rather than like the daily percentage? Because the daily percentage seems like arbitrarily small and hard to calculate, but like if it's going from like 20% to 19.95, 19.9, like if it's decreasing in that sense, it's easier for me to read. Just a thought.
totally agree on that. Because yeah, on a daily scale, the number is so small that it's like, well, whatever, but it doesn't seem like anything, but it is. But yeah, I think it might make,
Like we should just change that to the annual rate, right?
yeah,
And then
and,
you'll see it trend down from like 21% to 20, and you're like, oh, that's how long it takes to move a percent. Like I know what that means annually, but like 0.0029% per day, like it's like what?
do a
I
lot
don't
of,
know, man.
you got to do a lot of math in your head to figure that one out.
And in general, the chart's broken, I think, which is, what Titan's saying behind the scenes here, right? Like I was saying 0.5% isn't much, but that's probably the daily. Because, I mean, if it's gone up to 0.03 and it's at 0.02, that's not 0.5% fluctuation there. I mean, maybe it's 0.5% from the beginning of the year. What was the very beginning here? 0.2201. Okay, so maybe there it is. That's 0.5%. Yeah, so I guess it is right. I'm just getting thrown off because the the one axis has 0.02% written on it twice.
Oh
It's
wow, I
20.
didn't even realize that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good observation too. Yeah, I did not catch that. Now I'm looking at all of them to see or any other like that. No, just that one. I wonder. Yeah, that certainly makes it confusing. Yeah, I think switching that to annual would be just a lot easier to read and makes more sense because most people don't think of what the uh, so so wait a minute. So then it would just be would it be inflation rate still if it's annual? Um, yeah, it still would be the inflate, or is it just
Yeah,
inflation rate?
it's just inflation rate, but a
Right.
percentage. Like typically when we talk about inflation, we talk about annual inflation, right? Like it's like
PY. Yeah.
rarely. Yeah. So like it would just be like if it's daily, if that's the current daily, you just times it by 365, and there you go, and like that chart becomes easier to read.
Yeah, and in a denomination that people are used to seeing. I mean, I don't think most people are used to seeing a daily rate.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
probably just to 2 decimal points annual rate would be just perfect.
It is noted, and I will add this to my list of changes here.
I know what you heard from me, guys. I dropped off. Sorry. Somehow the tab died.
Oh, you're all good. We were just going over that we think annually on the inflation rate would just be a lot easier to read, and what people are used to seeing. Most people don't think of like what the daily rate is there. Most people are
You're
used to
just
seeing
saying like a
annual.
single stat, just have it there, the
Oh
number,
well,
and not.
just well, I mean, it can still show the ups and downs, but have it as an annual. Like, what's the annual rate, not the daily rate? Because most people are used to, like, if you're putting money in the bank, getting whatever, if it's 1% a year, they're not used to seeing what's the daily rate. What am I making a day on my money? So we were just I don't know when you dropped out, but
They don't have fractions that big on bank websites. You ain't earning nothing on a bank website.
yeah, no, it's kind of, yeah. All right, we won't get into that right now.
All right.
And yeah, I mean, I don't want to ask for too much, but then I just was curious, is everyone happy with like and this is kind of goes, this is at this point, it's more of, or it's very similar to what we originally had, but if you go into the orchestrator page, would we want to see like the reward, or not the rewards, but the transactions like Mike was suggesting earlier or asking about? Or I guess those are in the history anyways, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I don't know if that's necessary there. I was just wondering if that's where you were going with it.
Oh, there is
I
one.
think you were just looking for more real estate to see the chart better.
Yeah, that was my that was my main thing on the overview page. But one thing that I actually just, and this is something I've only known about recently, is I think it would be cool, and if when you connect your wallet to your orchestrator, or you're on your orchestrator page with your wallet connected, to have, instead of with just having the option to withdraw, if we could maybe add a transfer bond, when you want to pull your LPT, or you want to move your LPT out of your move it from one wallet to another and still keep it staked, rather than having to go to the contract and doing that manually.
This conversation's come up in the past.
Oh, it has.
And
okay.
yeah, and the consensus was yes, we could, but that would probably create more confusion and cause people to lose funds because it's such a rare thing to do for the average delegator. So yeah, it was like opted that we should probably avoid that one.
Oh, okay. I wonder if there's a way to do it where it's just for the orchestrator. It only pops up if you're an orchestrator.
I mean, you can definitely create that tool if you want. If someone wants to create that tool separately,
Right.
or you can just fork the GitHub repository and add that feature. Like, you definitely could do that. But I just think from like a general addition to the public explorer, it was like
All right.
a lot of people would transfer their bonds instead of like it would just like create confusion. People wouldn't know what it was, and like it's so rarely used, and like I think it was just comes down to like Varies had the argument for it, and it was like pretty sound. It was like, okay. Like,
yeah, I think the Pop Bear, I assume you're mentioning this because the idea here is to reduce downtime, right? So like you
No, well, it's just like, a lot of us don't like to keep a lot of stake on our node through, our orchestrator wallet. We like to, we move it to an external wallet just to keep the stake, so that we just have less exposure if something were to happen to, our keys or something like that, since they're, we can't use a hardware wallet on our, for our orchestrator. So it was, like, I'll pull my, I'll move my LPT every, like, I don't know, maybe once a week or something. I'll just move it to an external wallet. And Varies actually was the one that pointed out that you can go into the contract and just do it that way, which I've been doing recently. And I just, that you don't have to do an unbond, because before I was like unbonding it, waiting 7 days and then moving it to the wallet, where this just transfers it over all in one shot, which I was like, oh man, I had no idea that you could do that. It was, I just thought it was a nice feature to not have to wait for the unbonding period, but I guess it's really not that big of a deal if people want to, to wait the 7 days or to just go into the contract and do it. I mean, it's just a lot of copying and pasting of addresses and stuff to do it through the contract.
Yeah, I think generally like the consensus on our end was it was just too high risk a feature to add in at the time. And yeah, that contract approach I've been meaning to do that myself. But yeah, I think like the consensus, as Titan Node said, was the risk was a little too high, and it was a niche enough feature that we thought it would cause more confusion than it might
I always,
solve.
because I've done it a few times where I do it through the contract. I'm always nervous going, am I putting the right numbers in here? Does everything look right? Before I hit that thing. And if it was all like in a simple, just, transfer, boom, and it was like good to go. But I totally
Let's
understand.
I can probably come up with a small little DApp that does that. Maybe we can
Yeah,
tinker with that
I was
later.
gonna say, like, is this documented anywhere? Because if it's not, that's probably, I mean, that could be a good thing.
It's just if you go to the public contract on Arbiscan, it's just a public method on the contract. So you could just invoke it as long as your wallet's connected through Arbiscan, you can do it there. But Papa Bear's point is, he doesn't want to be copying and pasting. He just
Yeah.
wants to enter his address and know it's all good. But I
That's
got
definitely a
you.
valid ask.
The reason this even came up was Sundara had an issue where his wallet may have been compromised and wanted to move his stake to a new orchestrator. So Varies actually posted how to do that through the contract, and then mentioned, hey, and this is also a good way if you want to move wallet, your own personal stake to an external wallet. This is a great way to do it. And I was like, oh, wow, that is a great way to do it. So that's how I'm even aware that it exists. As far, like you said, is it documented? I don't know if it's documented anywhere, but I mean, it is in the contract, and it's posted in Discord at least once. So
Yeah, the conversation was, but it's no different than any other interaction with a smart contract.
yeah, and I had no idea you could do that. I never thought about and just didn't realize it. So but I do use it now that now that I'm aware of it. I just find it easier, and I don't like to have to wait. I just like when things happen, you don't have to come back and check, and set any kind of like reminder to check in 7 days is my to.
I think Nightnode wrote up a Python app to do it. Like from the command line, you can just run it, pass some addresses, and it does it. So you might want to check with him. But I like web apps.
Yeah, I mean, if at that point, I think a web app is, I mean, for me, preferred. So it's not the biggest deal. It was just a thought. But now that I'm hearing, that it can be confusing for the average person, I'd say better to leave it out and leave that for, if someone like Mike, if you wanted to build a DApp for it or something like that for, orchestrators, then great. But otherwise, contract is
What I
totally
what I
sufficient.
hear is Papa Bear has learned how to do manual interactions with contracts, which is fucking impressive.
Oh yeah,
Well,
oh
I mean,
yeah.
it's
Papa
really,
Bear's boning
yeah,
up. He's getting his
no,
teeth
it's a,
sharp real quick.
well, no, this was, I mean, again, it's a web interface, and that's how I used to have to call rewards back on L1 when, when I was trying to like, not pay $200 for a reward call and trying to, only pay $100 for a reward call. So, yeah, so without having, so doing manual reward calls, that's how I used to do them on, through the contract. And, again, it's not hard to do. It's just, it can be scary that did I do everything right before I hit that button? So, it's not that big of a deal. All right, I think unless anyone else has anything else, we can wrap up the Explorer part of this call. Okay, let's see. Who else? Titan, You mentioned Livepeer Studio, and then you kind of got cut off in something about the hackathon and your project that you won.
All right. Thank you so much for letting me have the opportunity to explain my DApp that I created. Well, I didn't create. My teammates essentially created it. I was just the cheerleader. In 36 hours, we were able to create an DApp using Livepeer, and be live streaming in our demo to earn rewards. So out of 12 places, we got third. So that was cool. But I just want to make some comments on it real quick, just from my experience. So Livepeer Studio was surprisingly easy to integrate. I was actually just like really impressed. Like, I don't really know how to build dApps or apps. I kind of do, but like, we had a guy who was an engineer from Amazon Prime Video in their streaming department. So like, he was like super educated with live video, and basically he was able to set up Livepeer Studio in like maybe an hour reading the docs, and had a fully functioning app using Livepeer. It was pretty impressive. Like, we spend most of our time working on other protocols to try to get them to work. Livepeer literally required no troubleshooting. It just like kind of worked out of the box with a couple lines of code. So I was like thoroughly impressed by that. We wanted to implement some other like stuff around Livepeer, but we spent so much time working on the other protocols, XMTP and Unlock to be specific. And so yeah, we just like, I just wanted to say, like, yeah, we use Livepeer. A lot of people did. Livepeer Studio, I can see why people use it and why they're pushing it. And I also saw a big disconnect between people wanting, like, Livepeer Studio you could set up in like a couple hours and it was easy to use and get started. But like setting up a broadcaster node, like, I probably wouldn't have even been able to explain to my teammates what the hell a broadcaster node was and how to do it in like 24 hours. So I think there's a bit of an education gap there that maybe we can solve. But yeah, I just wanted to give a big shout out to Livepeer Studio for being easy to integrate. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing the hackathon, the 4-week hackathon coming up here with Encode, I think is what it's called. And just gathering a team right now where I'm going to take the same concept of like decentralized Twitch and keep running with it. So if anyone wants to come hack with me, like, let me know. I'm on vacation now, so I won't be starting that until I get back, which is like around November 19th. So, but yeah, just wanted to make that comment. And yeah, it was really interesting and inspiring to see Livepeer as a pretty significant partner in the ETH Global Hackathon. That was another interesting part. Everyone that I talked to about Livepeer, like, I walked around and I was like, everyone's like, oh yeah, like Livepeer, they're so OG, they've been around forever. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, people know about Livepeer at these conferences. It was like pretty well known. Like, oh yeah, no, they're like the video guys. So that was really interesting to get that feedback as well. So yeah, it was really cool. It was my first hackathon, so it was just really interesting to see.
Well, again, congrats on that, and it's good to hear that Livepeer is easy to integrate. We gotta have you do a demo and show us how this thing works.
Sure, yeah. I think I posted the video demo that we made in like that 36 hours, but maybe like a live demo would work too. But like, it was pretty incomplete, so it's not really like, it was a complete hack job, which is what they want, right? It's just,
Hackathon, right?
yeah, it was just completely thrown together, running on a local machine. Like, there was no even no domain. It's just all local host stuff. So, but it was like, I was just really impressed with, like, literally like a couple lines of code, and you had a full working Livepeer app for the live video side. And I was like, oh, they make this real easy, and they like provide all the templates and everything. So I was like, you know what, like, I might just become like a Livepeer studio enthusiast and start promoting that, because I know we care about decentralization and more no broadcaster nodes, but like just seeing how easy it was for Livepeer Studio, like I'm probably gonna definitely direct people there first, because I'd rather just get them on it and get them using it first. And then when the comment comes, the topic comes around, like running your own node and stuff, like we can, dive down that once they reach some maybe commercial success, right? So those are kind of my only comments on that.
No, you suck them in, and then you move them on to the next step after that. So makes sense.
Yeah, like I use Alchemy for my RPC node, and that's where you start, because it's like you press, you create an account, you sign up, and it spits out the endpoint. You go, great, like it's much easier than spitting up your own node, right? But we know that creates centralization, but it's a good way to start, like, and then as you care more or as you scale more, you start looking for better solutions, right? So Livepeer Studio is definitely that teaser piece that I think is actually very useful. So yeah, I don't know. It was just very interesting to see how quickly you can hack on it. And yeah, so a bit of feedback on there. I think it was good.
Awesome. Following up on that, Chase, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? I have a note here further about that you want to talk about the ETH hackathon. Sorry, hackathon.
Hi there, Papa Bear. Well, my comments were it was really impressive to see such a big event. It was one of the largest ones they've done. They had 1,700 people apply to do the hack, and they had 240 different or successful dApps that were put to the ETH ecosystem as new ideas. And yeah, it was just fascinating to see such a big event. I really loved all, like, Livepeer. Eric Tang did a speech about what Livepeer would like to see, and there were lots of other, like the Graph, and everyone did a bit of a speech on their protocol, which I thought was really interesting. And I just found it really sort of encouraging to see such a big event and to see how worldwide and anticipated these are by people, and bringing new developers and ideas people into the space. So, and I just thought the project that Titan and his team did was really good, considering they worked right through the night. Titan didn't sleep. And they managed to put together an actual working product of decentralized Twitch. And yeah, I mean, maybe that is coming next. It kind of is in keeping with Livepeer and the Web3 world. So yeah, it was really interesting to see all that.
Awesome. No, good to hear that there's so many people just building in general. And were there a lot of projects built using Livepeer for this event? Or, I mean, it was a general ETH hackathon, right? Or was it? I don't know much about the
Yes.
event.
No, yeah. So it was put on by ETH Global, and then there were lots of different protocols, like the Graph, Unlocked, all these different ones that were putting sponsorship funds up for grabs. And then there were 12 entrants directly to Livepeer that, I guess, any of the ideas of the dApps that touched on Livepeer or the Graph or any of the other protocols, then I guess they did showed their dApp to those different ones. And so yeah, there's only 12 that featured on Livepeer. So yeah, it was just really fascinating. And these go on worldwide, which is something really big, because it's a lot more far-reaching and than I realized, I guess, at the time. It's really encouraging for cryptos in general, and yeah, and what we're also contributing to. So.
Oh, no, it's definitely good to hear. And again, congratulations to Titan for pulling a third place there. So good job.
Yeah, well done. Very good. All right, thank you. Thanks, Pepper.
Thanks for the comments. We don't have any more topics that anyone came up with. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to add, or this is going to be a real short water cooler this week?
Yeah, I've got a couple topics, maybe, but this might be the patrons speaking. So
Anyway, go for it. Go for it.
Okay. All right. So here we go. Okay. I'm thinking a really good app idea actually is decentralized, or not decentralized, just like a new version of OBS and I was thinking of a name like OB3, and where you'd have a desktop app where you could just stream into directly and have all the tools like OBS, but it would just have like a multi-stream feature built into it, and it would be built using Livepeer broadcaster node. And so then you could broadcast directly from your OB3 player into a decentralized network. Just the same way you would with OBS, but like, you just call it OB3, I don't know. And then you could just like plug it into like Lens protocol, which I thought was a really interesting idea. So these might be terrible ideas.
No, well, it's actually interesting you bring that up because I was actually chatting with Elite about doing a plugin for OBS that makes it easier to use Livepeer. And then he pointed out that there was, and this goes back to 2018, that there is actually a GitHub issue to integrate Livepeer into OBS as a streaming service. And there was some work done on it. Back in here, I can post that in the. If anyone's curious to look
please
up.
do.
Yeah, and they seemed like they got pretty far into it, and then I don't remember why it just kind of seemed to die out there. But let me pop this into the side chat here, because I'm pretty deep into the GitHub issues. And I guess I didn't go back that far, so that was a surprise to me that someone else had already worked on it. And yeah, I mean, and again, this was now we're talking 4 years ago, so actually almost
That's a good idea. I wish I would. Yeah, like that's something that I would like to support, or at least just like, yeah, I didn't realize you could have plugins in OBS. It would be so much easier. I'd just like create a plugin for it.
Well, actually, what I was thinking a plugin, but I think this was this was just a build of OBS that had some Livepeer stuff worked into it. So I don't know all the details of it other than what I'm looking at here, and it just for some reason died out, and I can't. It seemed like it was working, so I don't know what happened there. But it seems like it would be just a great way, considering how many people use OBS to stream, to have Livepeer as an option that you can just get right into right there.
But what would you do with it though? Like if you were streaming, would it just save to your files, or would you send it to Studio for recording? Like what would the plugin actually do?
You would send it to a you'd send it to like a CDN, but then it would also then send it to Lens protocol. So like the idea was you would create you know what, I can't think of this right now. I have to solidify my thoughts a bit more when
No,
I'm not
that's
in this
fine. I was
atmosphere.
just talking more along what the actual plugin was supposed to do. Like, today you go in, you connect your stream. So if you have all your, you set up your camera, your voice and all that, and then you send it to something, like you could save it to a file, you could send it RTMP to something. So I'm assuming you're going to send it to the broadcaster that's embedded in OBS. It's going to transcode it for you. And then it's going to do what? Save it to the file for later? Or
I guess
would you have to do something with it to push it to like your CDN somewhere?
No, the only thing you need to do is add the multi-stream function. Like the problem is OBS, you can't multi-stream to multiple sources, right? And like that's what you want. You want to be able to stream to YouTube, but then you also want to be able to stream to Lens protocol and these decentralized apps that are built on top of these new tools, right? because that was what we were building into our DApp. And I was like, man, why don't we just do this at like the player level, right? But I don't know. It might not. Maybe it's a fucking terrible idea.
Yeah,
Who knows?
well, actually, and what if I'm remembering now correctly, and I'm trying to scroll through this, but I think there was also the idea to put a broadcaster in with, that you would be actually you'd have
Oh,
a
you want me to put it
broadcast, a
down?
local
No.
a local broadcaster would be on the machine as well. So then you could basically operate as a broadcaster, but just have a front end for it. And then I'm not doing a good job of explaining that, but this is actually an interesting read for anyone that's interested, just to see like where this started, and then you can attach your wallet and all that kind of stuff to it, so that you could my thought was like it would be good to have like LivePeer Studio maybe as the default, and if you sign up for an account, then you've got your free 1,000 minutes to give it a try, and then maybe if people are using it and like it, then they can take it to the next level and have their own broadcaster and that kind of stuff, and you start actually using ETH to pay for stuff, and just moving more towards actual decentralization with a true Web3 infrastructure. But yeah, that's yeah, I was surprised to see that this was, it looks like, I don't know who this person is, but it looks like it was built mostly by someone from LivePeer, with a lot of input from Chris Hopcraft. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but good old Chris, who shows up in here occasionally, but one of the OGs, one of the OG broadcaster or orchestrators. So.
Yeah, I've missed Chris. He didn't come when I was here the last, since February. I haven't seen him. So I think some of these folks have moved on to more things, or they're just not paying attention as close to the orchestrator community as much. But kind of sad. I wanted to, there are quite a few people that have published a lot of content initially that aren't here now that I wish I could talk to.
I mean, Chris is definitely around. He's not like, in the Discord on a daily basis, but if you ever tag him in anything, he comments back,
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Maybe I'll have to ping him, because he had a couple of repos out there, and
yeah,
a couple of
that's
them
how
I'm just kind of
yeah, I
scratching my
follow
head
I
sometimes.
followed both his guide to actually get my orchestrator up and running, and to do my first stream through LivePeer. At the time, it was LivePeer Inc., not it was pre-studio, but he had really good guides on getting up and running. So that's my that's how I know who Chris is. But yeah, he was definitely a very a big part of how I got into getting everything up and running, and learned a lot of stuff from reading his GitHub repos.
Cool.
So he's a very knowledgeable guy, but I don't know what he's working on now. But I do know that he works on a lot of stuff, and he was instrumental in getting, I don't remember which conference, but one of the big ETH conferences broadcast through LivePeer. So he's still definitely part of, in the community, but I know he works on a lot of different projects. I don't know him personally, but he seems like a good guy. And Titan, you said, I think he's had a couple ideas. I don't know if you're still around, or if
No, yeah.
He's like, well, I'm busy. I'm on the
Okay,
beach now. I'm getting sunburned.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna tag off here soon. But the other idea was like, I think we should really focus on Lens coming up. I don't know if you're familiar with Lens protocol, if you guys got your handles yet. If you don't, let me know. I know the guy that can get you a Lens handle.
Hook me up, or I'll send you a message to remind you, because I've tried to get one, but I was like, I'm feeling really left out. I can't even comment. I can't even comment on other videos that I'm watching on their stuff.
Yeah. So I think there's Lenster, there's Lens Friends, there's Lens Tube, but what they don't have is Lens Twitch, right? They don't have Lens Live, and I started reading into the docs of how Lens works, and it's awesome. It's just like this social graph where you basically get 3 data points, right? What's your wallet address? What post type is this, and what is the metadata, right? And so we can provide a Lens built live streaming platform where you go to this Lens protocol, Lens website built on Lens. I keep saying Lens, and immediately everyone you're connected to, your 500 friends, you can see who's live streaming and the content they're posting, and you don't have to go and recreate a new account and follow these people that you like, right? So that needs to be built, and that will be powerful. I'm like really bullish on Lens. I think it actually fixes a deep problem with platform lock and moats that are built around social platforms. And Livepeer can literally be the infrastructure for a Lens live streaming platform. So yeah, I'm really curious about the progression of that type of DApp or solution. So yeah, which I think a lot of people are. Another thing was from the ETH hackathon, it looks like if you want to build something like a decentralized Twitch or anything decentralized live streaming, it's going to require a lot of different protocols, and like it gets exponentially more complicated the more protocols you introduce. So if you're like live streaming on IPFS, or sorry, live streaming through Livepeer, saving it through IPFS, using Media Network for your CDN, using Ethereum or Polygon for your NFTs, using XMTP for your messaging system, using Unlock for your gated NFT network, like it just kind of like goes on and on. And so I'm a little concerned about as these protocols change and develop, it'll get more complicated, but at the same time, like probably more powerful too. So sorry, I'm just going on a bit of a rant. Just some thoughts, because yeah, it was a very interesting, the largest ETH hackathon in history. I've got to hang out with Adam and Eric a little bit and watch an Amazon Video Prime engineer who's built stuff for video live streaming that millions of users use. Like he literally is like, yeah, like I was one of their engineers that we built products, and it was, I sounded like such a complete idiot because I basically showed him the docs, and then I just sat beside him on his laptop and watched what he did, and I was like, what are you doing now? What are you doing now? And like some of the questions was like, he was like, just starting a GitHub repo, and I was like, oh god, like I sound like such an idiot. And so, but it was really cool talking and speaking with him. He's interested in Livepeer. He tried to start up an orchestrator and like failed. So I found that interesting too. But yeah. So anyway, those are just some thoughts that I got away from it. And I think Livepeer is well positioned, which I'm really excited about. So the other thing was we were using Livepeer Studio for our streaming service, and every stream that we sent through our in our demo was being transcoded by the Livepeer Inc. nodes. I believe it was like, you know, their production internal prod. Yeah. So I don't think, it was kind of weird because we had this live working demo where we actually had a live stream in our demo as we showed it, and people were pretty blown away by that. But at the same time, I was like, if only they knew, like these people that don't know Livepeer, like this is literally Livepeer Inc. internal GPUs receiving requests from, you know, like we're not actually utilizing the decentralized network, production decentralized network for our demo. We're literally just utilizing the production of Livepeer Inc. And calling it decentralized. So I thought it was a bit ironic, but it also showed, you know, like there's a bit of a lead time to getting things adoption, right? So yeah, I don't know. I'm ranting.
What was it being using the internal network just because you're using Studio, or was that something that you like that was just the way it was set up to work?
Just because we were using Studio.
Oh, so is it everything on, but not everything on Studio goes through the.
Yes.
So then, well, I don't want to get too deep into it right here,
So
but
LivePeer Studio double transcodes everything. It sends it one to the public network and one to their internal servers. But every time I transcode on LivePeer Studio, I never get video sent back from the public network. I at least from what I see in their logs, it all comes back. So I'm curious, as to, like we get a copy of it, but how much is actually being sent? Like I'm kind of like curious, like if LivePeer double transcodes things, LivePeer Inc., but they're pretty much exclusively, from what I can see, and this might not be true. I need clarification on this. From what I can see, like primarily they just use their internal servers to actually send back the video being watched, which means like, and they're our largest broadcaster, so therefore like majority of the work we're doing doesn't actually reach the end user. So I found that interesting as well. Oh, but I'm speculating because I don't know. It says prod LivePeer, MWD or whatever, MDW, but like I don't know what that means, right? So
That's
anyway,
their broadcaster node, though. That's not the orchestrator or the transcoder. So, like, of course, when you send a stream, it goes to their broadcaster. The broadcaster then sends it to an orc and then sends to a transcoder, and then it comes back the same way. So you technically wouldn't see it anyway, right? Because you're sending it to the broadcaster, so you wouldn't know. I mean, unless LivePeer says they're not, you won't really know, right? Which side of the house they're going to.
okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that because because they're all coming from this server, but you don't know who's actually doing the work on the back end because you're just
That's
receiving it.
right.
Right. Okay.
It's just ingest. They're taking in your video, and then on the back end, they'll do whatever to transcode it. But it could be internal. I mean, like again, if you start seeing buffering and those kinds of issues, maybe there is switching. I think they mentioned some of that, but I don't know to what degree they're going to divulge that.
So on top of that, okay, so that's fine. Which is it's hard. I can't actually tell where it's being transcoded. But on top of that, this is a quick positive note. I was for the demo. We started streaming at about 8 a.m. I just promoted into like my main computer at home. I started doing a live stream of just like a video, so that we could test this. And so for about 30 hours, I had a 30-hour straight stream into LivePeer Studio, with no hiccups. And 30 hours into the stream when we were doing the demo, it was like live, working, not buffer. Well, the Wi-Fi there was terrible because there's 1,700 people drawing on it that were developing and downloading packages. So that was terrible. But the live stream was like active for 30 hours during our test. So that was nice. That was a really positive thing. To end on a positive note.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome.
Ray LivePeer.
But I'll end it there.
I didn't see that stream running on my node, so I'm sorry if I didn't get the ticket. So maybe someone lucky did.
I mean, if it was playing back perfectly, I'm sure I probably transcoded it.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
All right. Well, this might be another short one. Does anyone have anything else they want to add before we close this one out?
No,
All right, then. I think we're going to call this
sweet
one.
And to the point.
Yeah, I think we're going to call this one. You know what? I was going to actually say that before this started, I went through and was just kind of looking through like Orchestrator support, optimize your node, general, and there really wasn't much in the last week or even 2 weeks posted. So I think that's a good sign that in general people have been happy when everything's been working pretty smoothly. When stuff isn't working right, we tend to see a lot of posts. So the fact that it's been quiet says something about just that things are running smoothly. So
it's the quiet before the storm, my friend. I think builders are building. They're gonna start making changes, and as soon as they do, things are starting to get erratic again. But right now, it seems pretty stable. So let's hope it continues.
All right. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap that up then. And thanks everyone for coming. And as always, we will be doing this again next week, and hope to see you guys here then.
All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Papa Bear.